Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm talking PolyBrute, a general review in 2024 about this synthesizer. I've had it for the better part of a year in the studio, and I've been slowly collecting some patches, and I want to talk about my experience. Mostly pros, a few cons, but generally speaking, I wouldn't be making this video if I didn't think the synth was already awesome. So it's an awesome synth. Here's one of the first patches I made with the 3.0 update. Nice subtlety, right? What I really like about this synth is I get a lot of expression out of it. And that was just with the keys right there. I wasn't using the Morphe cell phone slider thing. That was just aftertouch and some basic synth modulation stuff inside the PolyBrute. And I get a ton of expression out of it. Here's another patch. It's like a Pluck. I have a sustain pedal hooked up also, so in case you're wondering why some notes are going longer than others, it's because I can literally hold and then sustain and then release it. Yeah, so this is like a Pluck. Heavy usage of the Morphe. Only XY though, I think, yeah. Let's go to a pad. Cosmic Noise. This one is very ambient. Actually, this is a good place to start talking about one of the criticisms. Yeah, it's only 6 voices. And initially I was like, it's not that big of a deal. As I've made some really cool ambient texture pads out of it, you definitely wish there was more voices. You can hear voice stealing already. Aftertouch is causing the pitch bend. So yeah, this is a really cool ambient texture pad type of sound. So when I'm sustaining some notes down here, then going up here to play some notes, it actually makes sense in the context of ambient music. But that is one of the issues with this, is it's only 6 voices, and when you make patches like this, which sound really cool, it falters pretty fast if you don't want any voice stealing to happen. I have another one that's more grandiose. I'm playing 6 notes right here, so if I play something else, it's gonna steal the voice. In fact, we'll do that, so it just immediately pops on. If you play with the knowledge of that, it's not terrible. So I know that I have 2 voices left in reserve right now. Now I have 4 that I can spend. The expression ability for pads on here is insane. It feels amazing. And this isn't an MPE instrument. You know, it's not MIDI 2.0. This is just basic aftertouch. with the Morphe, and I'm not even using the touch strip. In fact, all the patches I've programmed so far, I don't think I've used the touch strip at all. I feel like this kind of gets in the way. Like I'll be playing something and then accidentally bump it, and like the pitch will shift, and I'd be like, I don't want that. So I just end up turning off the ribbon all the time and just focus on this. That's just how I've been doing it though so far. Let's see what else I got here. It's a bass patch. This, I believe, is using the stereo layer feature that came with 3.0. I think it came with 3.0. So every note you play has 2 voices, left and right panned. Although it's in unison. So maybe it's 3 voices here, 3 voices there. Because you can hear it, it sounds very stereo. Again, aftertouch, bending the pitch. Here's a lead. This one I use the depth. Yeah, kind of like a traditional lead, but a lot of expression with the Morphe. I think it's a powerhouse, personally. Let's just jump and grab a fresh patch right here, and I can kind of walk through some things I really like. One thing that I always end up doing is go into settings, and I go, I think it's synth voice, voicing, analog accuracy, number 8. I click on that. And then I usually do mild linear for the pitch. I usually like the Morphe mode to hold when I'm programming patches. So that way, wherever I leave it, it stays on the Morphe. Oh, also in synth voice, in the VCO, something else I like to do is metalizer mode. I like this to be all waves because I believe the original was just a triangle for the metalizer. And it's way more interesting to have all wave shapes to be able to metalize with it, with the VCO one. But I believe that's pretty much what I do to start things out. Then I go over to the mod section, and I usually get rid of this ribbon controller because I don't want to pitch bend right here. So that's how I start things. Usually I make sure I'm on A side for the morph, but the morph settings in the keyboard itself to edit make things really simple. So if you want to copy A to B or B to A, really great utility features right here. So this is just one VCO. And let's see what else. So the metalizer is great. A lot of real interesting tones right there. I feel like I always patch the metalizer in here, so I guess we'll put on number 4 right here. So very simple to set up modulation stuff. I just held 4 on the mods right here, and I wiggled metalizer, and then I'll lock that setting into the matrix. So now I can take things like envelopes, aftertouch, LFOs, and make them do things to the metalizer. So let's do aftertouch. I'm gonna go over to aftertouch right here, press the square. I'm gonna turn up the amount. Let's do a lot. So now it's already like given some expression, right? I think that's cool. Let's turn down VCO 1, bring in VCO 2. Bring the sub up a bit. Oh, another thing too. Sometimes what I do, I'll switch the sub mode for VCO 2. So you can do crossfade where this fader will literally just crossfade into a sub frequency. Or you can do it where it's just a level that increases the sub amount while it keeps the actual VCO2 in the mix, which I actually prefer this more. So now you're hearing two things. I like doing it this way because I like to have the control of certain modulations to add however much sub I want outside of what the VCO2 is doing. Yeah. So for instance, let's go back to mods here, and let's put sub amount into slot number 5. And then same thing, let's put the aftertouch on there. So when I push in, I get more sub. Could also make it where the Z depth, the Morphe would get more sub. So let's do something like this here. I'm also going to get VCO2 shape right here. I'm going to get LFO, let's do LFO2. LFO2 shape, increase. Now let's bring in VCO1. I'm gonna drop the tuning, VCO1. Cool, now let's increase the stereo. The stereo knob's awesome. I love having this right here on a synth, so I can just quickly see how it feels if you spread the notes. And what's really cool is you can make it so modulation or morphing can adjust the stereo amount, and that's a favorite trick of mine. You can modulate VCO1 also with VCO2, which is really interesting. Let's take VCO2 out. Let's turn down this LFO, the speed. Okay, let's go over to the modulation here. I'm gonna press modulation until we get to the tape distortion type of options. The subtle tape has been my favorite, but I have used some of the others as well, like the downsampler is really interesting. Get like a lo-fi effect. But let's do subtle tape. I like that crunchiness. Oh yeah, and another trick that I like to do is add the intensity to the modulation matrix, and once again, aftertouch, boost up that subtle tape. Just a bit. Doesn't need to be much. Cool. Okay, so the filters. So we have everything right now going into the ladder filter. Let's do parallel on the filters. And let's actually put everything into the Steiner filter first. Get the brute factor going. Do a little VCF envelope. Also the velocity. So you get a little difference with velocity there. Okay, now I'm going to put it to series. So we'll go from the signer into the ladder. Put key tracking all the way up. Put some distortion on the ladder. A little bit of resonance. Feels pretty juicy. Let's get a little bit of release on the VCA. I'm going to put an LFO on the master cutoff frequency right here. So we'll grab the master frequency cutoff thing, put it in the matrix, and we'll use LFO 1 this time. So we'll patch this in like so. Now I'd like to adjust the rate of LFO 1 with something. Maybe aftertouch, maybe Z depth. Actually, Z depth could be pretty cool. So what we're gonna do, we could either go to another page to add more stuff, or we can get rid of global pitch, VCA, voice pan type of stuff. In fact, I think I'll use voice pan. So I will make slot number 3 LFO 1 rate. So now I can use the Z depth with that. So make a patch point, increase. It's pretty cool. I think I want a bit more. So what's happening is the LFO 1 rate is increasing speed, and then we're also getting more sub from VCO2. So this like combined combo. I also want things to brighten a bit when I push in to the Z, and maybe even the aftertouch as well. So since we have the master cutoff already set up, or actually, we might just brighten things with the actual ladder filter. So let's go to another page here. I'm going to put the ladder filter cutoff into the first slot, and I want aftertouch to brighten it a bit. And then I want Z depth to brighten it also. Let's do a bit more. Oops. For a quick save, you tap save 3 times. So 1, 2, 3, preset saved. That's basically how I've been saving my presets just initially. Okay, so this is lacking delay and reverb at the moment. And it's also lacking a B section for the morph. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go over morph, and we're gonna say copy, we're gonna say number 5, copy A to B. So now, it's the same, right? Now we're gonna do edit B, so we'll press number 2. Now we should add some reverb and some delay. Let's start with delay first. So we'll go. It's pretty cool already like that. Then turn down just a bit. Now let's put up some reverb, see how this sounds. I'm also going to slow down this LFO rate. So when we're fully on the B mode of morph, So we're getting more delay, reverb, and slowing down the LFO. And then when we return back to the original patch, then it's like, it's dry, got more of a wobble going on. It just feels expressive already. So I think on the A side, I would like to add some reverb and delay when I push into the Z values. So we're going to do that. We're going to add a delay patch and a reverb patch right there, or a connection, not patch specifically. And then when we push into Z, we want these to increase in value. Oh, I'm also editing B. Shoot, I think I have to switch that. Let's go over here. Yep, I have to increase this. Got to keep that in mind. If you're editing stuff with, like, you know, which side you're on, A, B, it can get a little confusing initially. So I'm going to bring this back to A side completely. Now what's really cool is the effects are on send, so it's not going to like bring up the volume and drop the volume. It's just going to ping the delay and reverb networks, and you'll hear the trail offs. Then also pushing into the Z increases the reverb and delay on the B side of things. Let's save. There's way too much to cover in depth to go over everything, so I'm not going to be talking about the sequencer, arpeggiator, and motion recording, which are very deep. I like the synth a lot, and making patches on it's really fun. I did say there were some cons, and it's basically bugs that I've run into. So there is the 6-voice issue, and yeah, that's just something that is what it is. I wish there was more voices. Maybe there'll be a 12-voice version. There's been some rumors, potentially. I don't know if that's ever going to happen. So, problems that I've run into. When I've been making patches before, I've had the panel just straight up freeze. And it's not just like a one-off situation. It's actually happened often where things just suddenly lock up and freeze. So that's weird. I've also had buttons not respond for some reason. In fact, does this work fine? Yeah, this button's working completely fine. In the past, this button has decided to just stop working. And I've been like, is my unit bad? Do I have a lemon? And then it starts working fine. So I'm like, maybe it's just software bugs in there. I've also had times where I've been jumping through patches that I've made and been blasted with full volume white noise. It's only happened once, thank God, but I've had my headphones on, been playing, jump over to a patch, and then just get stunned with white noise. And I was like, oh my God, please never do that again. It's a bit buggy, honestly. I really appreciate that they've been updating it and adding more features. And Arturia has been pretty legendary at updating and maintaining their synths. Like the Micro Freak is on version 5.0. Amazing. Mini Freak just got 2.0 recently. Yeah, and obviously PolyBrute's at 3.0. I have no communication with Arturia. They've never reached out to me ever. So I don't know what the future holds for the PolyBrute and if there is some sort of rumored 12-voice version. If there is, awesome. But I really hope the original PolyBrute continues to see updates and additions to their software, because they clearly have a lot of control and capabilities underneath the hood from the digital side of things, which is really great. But it's definitely not perfect. There is a lot of bugs. And honestly, I'd be a bit apprehensive about performing live with this because of those bugs. Like, can you imagine if you're switching patches and suddenly blast the audience with full volume white noise? Like, that would be awkward, right? Other criticisms that people have said, like the wheel and X, Y, and Z ribbon expression type of things kind of stacking on each other. I do wish those were different modulation sources. But at the same time, there's so much modulation capability between these sources right here that I feel like it's almost too much to keep track of. Kind of just settle on one type of expression and use that predominantly. Like I said, the ribbon, I kind of found I would just bump it and then it would pitch bend everything. And so I end up just turning off the ribbon for all these patches or any patches that I go to in general. And the mod wheel, I kind of just stick with vibrato being added to things because I feel like this Morphe pad cell phone type of device is more than enough to get expression that I need out of these patches. Another thing that people talked about was the core character of the VCOs not being as exciting. And yeah, That's technically true, but I also feel like it's a clean palette to paint on. So if you are interested in having as much control as possible to add the excitement into the patch, then it gives you that ability, as opposed to being full on, like upfront. You don't need to add anything to the VCO because it sounds awesome the way it is, you know, but then you have like the same patch over and over type of thing. Yeah, I feel like the PolyBrute offers more tonal texture with being a bit more on the vanilla side with the VCOs. But the sound sculpting options here with the two VCOs are really fantastic. So I don't find myself disappointed with what I get out of it. Like I said, be nice to have more voices. If you have an experience with the PolyBrute, definitely drop some comments below. We'll definitely love to check it out. If you're planning on picking up a PolyBrute and you use my affiliate links, helps out the channel. And that goes with anything if you're picking up a new synth or a sampler, NPC type of stuff. So thank you for that. But that's going to do it for this video. Thanks for watching. Thanks for making it to the end as well. And I'll see you next time for another one. Peace.